Welcome back to Get Set Builds. Did you know that Duplo and Lego are compatible with each other? I just had to mention that to sound smart before I talk about a mistake I've been making in the past few videos. Back when I did the target shooting episode on Rainy Island, I could have sworn I tested all the melee weapons on targets. And we all know that swords can't dig. However, a tool that very much can hit targets is the pickaxe, and I probably should have been using that to dig all along. That probably would have looked a lot better than shooting it with a gun. Also, throwing weapons can hit targets as well. So yeah, that. Anyway, I really wanted to get this dirt thing figured out before I moved on to other builds, and I think I found a nice compromise. Remember how I mentioned that the two scales of that other toy were compatible? Well, I tried the same thing with the dirt. The dirt is twice the size in every dimension as the grass above it. At first, it's slower to dig through the top layer of grass. That way, things like bullets don't make huge holes in the ground. Ugh, why wasn't I using the pickaxe all along? Then, once you make it through the grass layer, the dirt is much faster to dig. That way, we get the best of both worlds from version 1 and version 2 of the dirt tiles. Honestly, I don't even feel like Brickadia needs destruction. This stuff is so fun to customize yourself for your own game mode so it works exactly the way you want it to. I had a motive why I wanted to finish these grass tiles, in order to include them with this neighborhood tile set. The cars on these city streets aren't flawless. In fact, there's a few places they can get stuck quite easily. However, I don't want to make the programming more sophisticated than it already is, so I'm using a different solution. In order to leave the cars running on their own without too much trouble, they have a respawn timer that sends them back to the driveway at their house. However, there was an interesting problem to overcome when making this. When the house was rotated, the car would still spawn facing the same orientation. At first I thought, oh no, this is going to be a huge problem. You may recall in a past episode that I had a vehicle that would respawn items anytime you jumped out of it. And well, this never had any trouble. Clearly items spawned on a vehicle spawn relative to the vehicle. So I simply made the teleport pad in the driveway into its own separate brick, and it worked perfectly, no matter what way you turned it. Which means next week we're going to be looking at kitchen appliances. Have fun out there, and I'll see you next time on Get Set Builds. Excuse me, sir.